Okay, let's dive into this. If you're involved in any kind of enterprise data project right now, I mean, maybe just a simple sales report, or maybe optimizing a huge supply chain, or even going all in on generative AI, well, I've got a pretty grim fact for you.
Oh.
The deck is stacked against you. Failure rates are just consistently high, alarmingly so, really, across the whole spectrum of data work.
Yeah, and we're not talking about small bumps in the road here, are we? These are often massive investments, huge amounts of time, budget, company faith, that just, well, evaporate without showing any real measurable business results.
Exactly.
The latest data is pretty stark, actually. MIT research recently highlighted that over 90% of Gen AI pilots, they fail to create that measurable commercial value.
90%. I mean, that's just an insane statistic for any major business initiative.
I mean, it really is.
But here's the kicker, isn't it? The sources we're digging into today, they argue this isn't really a new problem. It's not specific to AI.
Not at all.
It's more like the latest, maybe the most expensive symptom of this decades-long pattern of disappointment across pretty much all data initiatives. Companies pour billions into tech. But the core issue isn't about the technical brilliance, is it? It's systemic failure.
Absolutely. I mean, the models, the machine learning, it's all getting better. The infrastructure is getting faster, definitely. But that failure rate, it's just flatlining, still sky high.
So what's the plan today?
Right. So today, our mission is pretty clear. We're going to dissect what we're calling the anatomy of data project failure. We'll map out these three predictable systemic traps that companies just keep falling into.
Okay.
And then, importantly, we'll explore the RAPPID methodology. It's a structured response, really, designed specifically to fix these flaws. The goal, to make sure organizations are actually getting that ROI from their data.
Okay, let's get into that anatomy then. And it's really important, I think, for listeners to get that these traps, they hit everyone, right? Doesn't matter if you're a huge Fortune 50 company trying to automate a report or a tiny startup building its first model.
Exactly.
So, trap number one. The sources are calling it the hype trap. What's that about?
The hype trap. Yeah, this is a classic. It's basically mandate-driven development. Executives, they read some great article, they go to a flashy conference, and boom, we need AI. Or, we need better analytics.
Right. But they mandate the tech before they've really nailed down the specific, measurable business problem they're trying to solve.
Precisely. So the data team, they get all fired up, maybe rightly so, technically.
Yeah, they're excited.
And they scramble to build something that looks technically really impressive. Maybe a recommendation engine with 98% accuracy, or a churn model with an F1 score that, wins internal awards. Looks amazing.
Puts paper, yeah. Sounds great.
Looks brilliant. But then, fast forward 6 months, the execs ask, okay, show us the profit increase. Where's the impact on the P&L? And silence, just deafening silence.
Oh, why?
Because the project, it optimized for the technical stuff, accuracy, speed, complexity, not for the business outcomes. They basically built this really cool technology that's now looking for a problem to solve instead of, solving a known operational pain point from the start. The technical win means nothing if the business metric doesn't budge.
Okay, that's a huge distinction, isn't it? Maximizing some technical score versus maximizing the actual ROI. So the hype trap means we often build the wrong thing. What about when we do pick the right problem, but the groundwork isn't there? That leads us to trap two.
Yes, trap two. The Foundation Fallacy.
Foundation Fallacy, okay.
And this one is really born out of impatience, I think. Companies just rush towards the exciting stuff, like machine learning or real-time dashboards.
The sexy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they totally neglect the, let's be honest, tedious but essential foundation. Data quality, lineage, governance, all that.
And that technical debt just piles up so fast. I've seen projects where data scientists spend 80% of their time just cleaning data, trying to normalize inputs.
Constantly firefighting.
Only to find out the source data itself is just fundamentally unreliable. Or biased, even.
And what's really striking here is how universally destructive this is. Poor data quality, it basically guarantees expensive failure. Doesn't matter if it's a simple sales report the CFO relies on, or some complex deep learning model making inventory decisions.
Right.
The source material we looked at uses this really powerful analogy, I thought. You wouldn't build a skyscraper on quicksand, would you?
No way.
So why spend millions building sophisticated analytics on bad, ungoverned data? Neglecting that foundation means you're building complexity on top of, unreliability.
Makes perfect sense. Garbage in, garbage out, no matter how clever the algorithm. Okay, which brings us to trap 3, and this one honestly sounds like the most heartbreaking, the adoption abyss.
Oh, yeah.
You dodged the hype trap, you somehow built a solid foundation, you made the right thing, the data's good, and it still fails.
It does. And this is that brilliant insights, zero usage syndrome. The tech teams deliver, sophisticated analyses, could be basic customer segments, could be advanced AI pricing stuff. And these insights just land unused in some beautiful dashboard that just gathers digital dust.
But why? We built what they asked for.
Because deployment isn't adoption. That's the key. The technical team, they successfully delivered a tool. Great. But that tool wasn't successfully integrated into the actual day-to-day business processes, the workflows of the person who's supposed to use it. So the value is trapped. If, say, a sales manager has to leave their CRM, log into a whole separate analytics platform, manually pull a report, and figure out what it means before they can make a call, they just won't do it. It's too much friction.
Yeah, too cumbersome.
Right. So the technical success is, again, meaningless if the business user doesn't or can't seamlessly act on the information. The promised value just never shows up.
Okay, so these 3 traps, hype, foundation, adoption, they're everywhere across all levels, just crippling ROI. So now let's turn to the solution that's been developed to fight this. The RAPPID Value Lifecycle. You mentioned it was created by Carl Dinkelman and ZJN Coetzee.
That's right. Rapid TIA really came about as a direct, battle-tested response to these decades of systemic failure. Traditional project management, it focuses on delivering the tech on time. Rapid is, fanatically obsessed with just one thing: establishing and then achieving measurable commercial value from data investments.
Okay, so it flicks the script.
Completely. It sets out this clear principle: analytics, reporting, predictive models, AI. They're only relevant if they create tangible, realized business outcomes. Period.
That principle sounds fantastic, obviously, but execution is everything, isn't it? So how does RAPPID actually build, specific firewalls against those 3 traps we just talked about? Let's start with the hype trap. How does it force that business-first approach and stop people building expensive shelfware?
Right. So the first and maybe the most powerful firewall is baked right into milestone 1. Approved funding. And this is non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if it's a small report or a massive AI project.
Okay.
No code gets written. No infrastructure gets spun up. Nothing happens until leadership secures investment based on a really clearly articulated, quantified business case. And that case has to be aligned to strategic company goals.
Okay, but isn't there a risk there? Are we just trading technical red tape for, methodological red tape?
Right.
If you have to stop every single time and quantify the exact dollar value, won't that just slow everything down? Kill innovation.
It creates necessary discipline, is the argument. It forces leaders to answer those, frankly, uncomfortable but critical questions right up front, like, what specific commercial outcome are we really after here? Is the potential P&L impact actually worth the investment we're about to make? And crucially, how exactly are we going to measure success in 6 months?
Right. Define success first.
Exactly. It prevents that endless scope creep and makes sure every single project starts with real strategic sponsorship.
It fundamentally changes the role of data scientists, too. They go from being maybe hopeful engineers building interesting tech to being targeted solution providers delivering, ideally, guaranteed value.
Accountability right from phase 1. I like that. Okay, now let's switch to the foundation fallacy, the bad data problem. That seems so pervasive. How can one framework really tackle data quality and governance without just grinding everything to a halt?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. So to hit that bad data problem head on, RAPPID explicitly includes this proprietary, quite rigorous mechanism called the breadth framework.
Breadth.
And then this framework is dedicated entirely solely to ensuring what they call data trust.
And practically speaking, what does breadth involve? What does it do?
Well, breadth basically standardizes governance. It mandates that you embed requirements for things like data quality checks, automated lineage tracking, compliance. All that stuff gets built directly into the technical delivery phase.
So it's not an afterthought. Exactly. I mean, data trust becomes a non-negotiable technical deliverable, just like the dashboard or the model itself. It's not some regulatory burden you deal with later.
Okay, so instead of treating data governance like this overhead cost you try to minimize, RP80 makes it a mandatory prerequisite for hitting later milestones. You literally cannot pass milestone 2 and move towards generating insights if your foundation is shaky.
That's the idea. It minimizes that risk of catastrophic failure down the line. You ensure the data quality before you spend ages training a model or publishing a dashboard based on garbage.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, finally, let's hit the adoption abyss. How do we make sure those brilliant, trustworthy insights actually get used? Our EPD addresses this with milestone 3, you said, embedded insights.
Correct. Embedded insights.
So how does this guarantee adoption, not just, technical deployment? Because I've seen, like you said, perfect insights just sit there collecting dust, millions wasted.
Yeah, this is probably the most crucial cultural shift RAPPID enforces. A project is only considered done, only gets past milestone 3 when the insights, whether it's a simple dashboard metric or a complex AI recommendation, are fully integrated into the user's actual daily business process.
Yeah.
And, critically, they are actively driving measurable decisions. It's not enough to just make it available.
Okay, how? How does it enforce that?
It uses a two-pronged approach here.
Which involves those other frameworks you mentioned.
Exactly. So for the cultural adoption part, actually changing user behavior, the phase uses the Stacker plus DVC framework. This focuses heavily on training, communication, and really proving the tool's value to the end user, making them see how it helps them.
So winning hearts and minds.
Basically, yeah. Transforming them from passive data consumers into active, confident advocates for using the data.
Okay, and the technical side, the integration piece.
That's handled by the AC3 ROS framework. AC3 ROS governs the actual technical integration part, making sure the output of the data, the prediction, the recommendation, the key metric, whatever it is, gets automatically pushed back into the systems the user already lives in.
Ah, like the CRM or the ERP.
Exactly. The CRM, the ERP, the supply chain workflow, wherever the decision is actually made. You remove that barrier of having to go somewhere else to find the insight. It's just there.
That's where the measurable value actually happens.
That's where it truly lives, yes.
Okay, so a RAPPID isn't just project management. It's really an end-to-end value system. And beyond fixing these individual project problems, the methodology pushes for broader structural changes in the organization too, right? Tell me about this continuous value loop concept.
Yes. This is critical for changing the perception of data work. Moving it from being seen as an episodic cost center that's always fighting for budget into becoming a self-justifying capability. RAPPID does this with a closed-loop structure that culminates in Phase 4. Recognize value.
Recognize value.
This means systematically measuring, verifying, and then internally publishing the actual realized value from the project. And that measured value directly feeds the credibility and, crucially, the financial justification needed to secure the next round of investment.
So if Project Alpha saves the company, say, $5 million this year, that $5 million becomes the proof point, maybe even the funding source for project data or for expanding Alpha's capabilities. It becomes self-funding.
Precisely. It creates what the methodology calls a continuous capital investment engine. Successful data initiatives literally fund their own expansion. This changes that whole annual budget fight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It becomes a predictable, financially justified way for the organization to grow using data.
Okay, that's powerful. And finally, to make all this work, RAPPID tackles one of the biggest killers of large projects, those dreaded organizational silos.
Oh, yeah. Silos are poison for data projects. They fail when the tech teams are measuring technical success over here.
Right.
And the business teams are measuring business outcomes over there. And the two just never connect properly. RAPPID mandates cross-functional accountability across all 4 milestones. Meaning, yes, technical delivery needs the data teams, but operational success, the actual realization of value, requires mandatory business buy-in and sign-off at key points. It forces consistent collaboration between finance, operations, and technology leadership, no matter how complex the project.
So the ultimate goal that measurable value validates the initial investment. It works on the principle that if everyone's success, from the data scientist right up to the CFO, depends on everyone else succeeding,
Exactly.
then those internal walls just naturally start to crumble because the focus is unified on the commercial outcome, whether it's a simple report or complex AI.
It forces that connection between the technical work, the operational workflows, and the commercial results. That's really why it tends to succeed, where more traditional siloed approaches often fail.
Okay, so just to quickly summarize the scope here. RAPPID is really designed to systematically tackle, 7 critical pain points that are hitting data initiatives everywhere. From basic Excel stuff right up to the cutting-edge Gen AI.
That's right. It tackles, 1, the data value gap by forcing measurement and publication of business impact. 2, technology hype chasing with that mandatory business-first approach.
Right.
3, the technical versus commercial disconnect through those continuous collaboration checkpoints. 4, foundation neglect, using the breadth framework for data trust.
Okay.
5, leadership decision paralysis. The simple milestone structure helps there.
Yeah.
6, organizational silos through that cross-functional accountability.
Yeah.
And finally, 7, adoption failure via that really rigorous embedded insights milestone.
Got it. The stakes here really are undeniable, aren't they? Failure rates are climbing. Data projects aren't really optional anymore for most companies.
Not at all.
So adopting these kinds of structured, value-obsessed approaches seems like it's becoming essential just for survival in this data-driven world.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the framework ultimately forces a fundamental choice on organizations, doesn't it? It's an unavoidable choice, really. The question is, will they adapt their approach fast enough to avoid becoming just another failure statistic? Or will they embrace methodologies like this that demand real financial and operational accountability at every single stage?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they're just trying to improve basic analytics or aiming for advanced AI.
So the choice at the end of the day is between continuing to fund and build really impressive, maybe technically sophisticated technology that ultimately nobody uses,
The expensive shelfware.
or starting the hard structural work needed to build real tangible business value that, frankly, nobody in the organization can afford to ignore.